Hello all, today is the 19th of February, if I remember correctly. Monday, happy President's Day. I worked this morning, went to the dentist, so now I have the afternoon available to continue working on my project here. My goals today are to decide how I'm going to install that secondary hood latch cable and also to get those horns working. And then if I get through all that, then we'll see what else I decide to pick on next. Okay, so I wasted a lot of my afternoon today running back and forth to the hardware store trying to get my auxiliary hood latch cable working. I actually had it in place running through the dash into the car, but it just wasn't working. It turns out, in my estimation, that the cable that I have, which is now on the ground, kind of discarded, is just too stiff. That was really interfering with things. I really needed more of a kind of the same kind of cable that's already in the car. So after messing around with that, not being able to find a way to secure it for a good test and whatnot, I basically just pulled it out. I lubricated the heck out of the latch here using silicone spray as opposed to WD-40. Not that that makes a lot of difference. I don't know. Pick your poison. The other thing, a couple other things I did on adjustments is I adjusted this little clamp here so it was facing more perpendicular instead of at an angle like it was before. I think that helps it slide a little easier. The other thing I did, which probably made the biggest difference by far of all, was I adjusted that part of the latch right there on the hood. I figured, well, maybe it's too far that direction, and that's why I have a hard time unlocking it. So I moved it down, probably a good quarter of an inch, and I made sure that it still latches, which it does, closes easily, doesn't release easily. But now what's amazing to me is that all of a sudden my latch works beautifully. I barely touch it. No binding at all. It just pops right open, just like it's supposed to. So I guess the moral of the lesson, or the moral of the story for me, is that don't overcomplicate things. Do the simple things first. Lubrication, adjusting latches, that kind of stuff. So I'm less concerned now about the cable breaking. But I still eventually plan on doing something. Now that I have a hole that goes into the car available, I think I may just go for the simpler solution, which could be as simple as a small piece of nylon string that's hooked onto there, because I did drill a little hole in the hood latch itself, right here below where the other one goes. That's where I had my new cable in temporarily, which didn't work out too well. So I may play with that a little bit more before I completely give up on it, but it could be just as simple as that, just putting a piece of nylon string in there because it's not going to be used regularly. It's really just meant to be a secondary emergency. But in the meantime, my hood opens much easier now, so I feel better about that. So I'm going to finish putting that latch back together, more lubrication, and move on to playing with the horns. And I was playing with my horns, and just like when the horns were still installed, only one of them was sounding, and sure enough, only one of them works. That's this one of the Ford Motor Company horns. These two are dead. Even when I fiddled with the adjusting screw, the AC one right there, the Delco one, or this one, moving them in and out didn't make any difference. So I guess horns really can pass away. So I'm going to pull the horns from the I have on the other header panel and see if I get lucky with any of those. All right, I pulled the other horns from my other piece, and I have two good low horns and one good high horn. So I've got two of the three now. Those are the Ford Motor Company parts. Interestingly, the other AC Delco Remy part horn doesn't work either. That one is also dead, so I need to find a replacement for this Delco Remy. I might play with this one a little bit more, but it did not work at all. So got two out of three now. I forgot to mention that the wiring harness on the other group of horns is actually good, so I don't need to worry about replacing that end. This one has a good end. It's a good wiring harness, so that's good. So I just got to work on getting a replacement Delco Remy horn. Hello, it is the 20th of February. I didn't have enough material yesterday to upload, but today I wanted to continue on with the hood latch stuff. Just like I found with the basic hood latch, the factory one, after I got things adjusted properly, it works beautifully, very easily opens. And now, sticking Sorry about that. I got interrupted by a neighbor bringing me a part that was dropped at his place, my drum. So that's pretty exciting. Anyway, finishing up about the hood latch. The simplest solution in this case was definitely the best, and I did the same thing with my auxiliary emergency secondary latch. I drilled a second hole underneath the original one. I've terminated the cable I bought at Lowe's this morning, 4 feet of it, for like $1.50, and I already had the terminator. I just hit it with a sledgehammer to smash it together to hold the cable, and that's what it looks like here. And inside the car, of course, it's not in its final resting place yet, but it's just a bare naked cable sticking through the dash right now. But it works beautifully. So if I close the hood all the way and latch it, like so, it's latched firmly. All I got to do is just pull on my little cable here very easily. Don't have to yank it or anything. Just pull on it, and boom, it opens just like that. That's all I wanted. A real simple emergency release, and I'll just coil this and stick it in the glove compartment where it'll sit in the corner and probably never use it, but it's good to have a secondary way of opening that hood latch because this way, if either one of the other cables breaks, which does happen, I've got an easy way to open that hood without any hassle at all. As I've seen cables break here at this latch, and I've also seen this cable break either at the handle or here, or could even slip out of that lock. But anyway, so I'm finally very satisfied with my emergency release setup now, and also for the regular latch. So everything works good. And walking over here, I actually had a couple things come today. Here's my drum. I haven't even opened the box yet, so I'll open that in a minute. Take a look inside. Got another box too that has a brand new carburetor in it. I wasn't going to go this route, but after spending all this money and effort on my original carburetor and still not working right, I gave in and bought a kind of a generic. It's not an Edelbrock, but they use the Edelbrock terminology, 1406 or whatever. So I'll open that box up too and show you what I'm going to do with that carburetor before I even install it. So this is always like Christmas time to me, getting packages. Even though I paid money for them, it's almost like Christmas time all over again. So here's the big reveal. This box is from Stinkin Lincoln, John Lyman. It had problems in shipping, which is why it was a little delayed in getting to me. But I now have it. Went to my neighbor down the street for some reason. But anyway, here's a good drum that's going to replace the one that I had that was cracked. So now, along with my other one, which is on the ground over there, I'm going to take that to my mechanic and have them turn it. The other thing I have, which I just mentioned, is a new carburetor. Bought it on eBay. Not very expensive, much less expensive than the name brand Edelbrock, but it has the same designation, 1406 600 CFM. So I'm just opening this box for the first time. You can see it right here. This is what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it modified before I ever install it. I don't know why these replacement carburetors always had the intake on the other side of the carburetor from the way we need it for our Lincolns, but it does have a provision for the fuel inlet on this side. So what I'm going to see if my mechanic can do is drill it out and tap it so I can put my inlet over there where it belongs. I'm not even going to install it until that's done because I refuse to be forced to reroute my fuel line and replace it with a rubber line just so I can go on the other side. I'm not doing that. So anyway, so that's pretty exciting. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next half hour or so, is running to my mechanic shop and getting these drums dropped off to him, and also see if he can help me with that carburetor. Then I'll come back home and continue on. All right, I'm back at the car here working. I've just replaced these lines here with new ones for the windshield washer. I also replaced this vacuum connection here, which goes to the motor, which is the automatic, you get the few swipes when you press on the windshield washer function. So that's a new hose as well. So, and I lubricated the pivot points on the wiper arms themselves. So I'm ready to put the cowling cover back on. I just tightened these down, and of course, one of the bolts stripped off, one's missing, but it's holding. So if I ever need to take that off again, I'll just have to drill that out. I'm not too worried about it right now. So the wiper motor, I'm sure that's secure now. So making progress. All right, I'm wrapping it up for the day. It was a good day, even though I didn't get that much done on the car itself. I got my second used drum finally showed up from John Lyman at Stinkin Lincoln. So they're both at my mechanic shop right now, getting turned. I also received my new carburetor, And he also has agreed to take care of that as well. He's going to drill a new hole on the other side of the air horn on top and move my input to there. So that way I don't have to change my fuel routing or not use my steel fuel line that I already paid for. So I'm happy about that. So I can't work for the next 2 days on my car because I got to do real work and earn some more money. So the soonest will be Friday when I can do some more work. When I do come back, if I don't already have those parts I just talked about, I'm ready to do my little soldering to repair that plug under the dash. I bought this thing called solder stick. You've probably seen it advertised, where it's got these little, they're almost like butt splices inside here that have a piece of solder in the middle. And I bought their heat gun too to go with it. So I'm going to try that out, see how that does in repairing my broken plug, replacing it with one I got from Brian. So we'll see how that goes the next time I have a chance. I want to get done with that dash so I can put it back together. You can see here that I put the cowling back on the car, the new hoses underneath it and all that, so that's back in place. I'll wait on the wiper arms until I buy new wiper blades to put on them. Oh, and I wanted to show you in the glove compartment what that looks like. Now that I got my emergency cable release taken care of, it turned out to be such a simple thing to do, which is really what I wanted in the first place. So you can see how it's running right there, coming from there, but that'll all be hidden by the dashboard, eventually the dash pad. So sitting in here, it's just hanging there with a couple of loops in it. I'll eventually probably come up with some kind of a hook or something to just kind of get it out of the way, but not a big deal. I mean, it works great. You just pull on it, and the hood opens, just like it's supposed to. So I'm happy about that. Just wanted something simple. So that took care of that. And I was looking at my new radio speaker that I got, realizing that I'm going to have to do some work to get this transformer. I don't even know how important that is, but that's what the radio wiring plugs into and all that. So I'm going to see if I can duplicate that, move that to the new speaker. Either that, or I'm going to see how much Felix LaFour says he has one of these NOS. I'll ask him what he's asking for it. And if it's not too expensive, I might just go that route and put this new speaker on the rear instead of the front. But so anyway, and you can see my new light over there. My new map light is in place too. So anyway, good day. I am so close to being done with those brakes. I'm really excited about that. So little steps, little at a time. It's all going well. Have a good evening.